Good afternoon, Philly. It's our lucky day because it is not snowing outside, if you can believe it. I'm Audra Neff, and you're listening to Food Talk, brought to you by American Advertising Services, the Philadelphia area advertising and publicity agency that wants to help you. Call 484-562-0060. That's 484-562-0060. And again, that's 484-562-0060. Today's guest is Joe Lasprogata, Vice President of Samuels & Son Seafood and marine biologist. So this guy knows what he's talking about. Joe, thanks for being here.
Hi, Audra. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. So if you did not know, Samuels & Son is a local wholesale seafood distributor that's been around for 100 years.
Yes, we're located down in the food distribution center by the stadiums. That's where our headquarters and our main processing facility is.
And your headquarters are fairly new, I would say?
Yeah, the new building's been in existence for about 4 years now.
Okay. But you guys had humble beginnings. Tell me about it.
Well, originally, the family, the D'Angelo family, started down on Front Street, down on Delaware Avenue. And Giuseppe actually had a fish cart that he used to walk through. And that's a long time ago. We've improved things quite a bit since those days. We now have a state-of-the-art refrigerated facility in the Philadelphia Food Distribution Center. And that's where we're located now.
Okay. And you distribute nationwide.
Yeah, primarily we have daily distribution from Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, of course, Baltimore, up through Manhattan, and then west to Pittsburgh. We also have a location in Las Vegas, Nevada, but we do distribute via air freight nationwide and worldwide.
Okay. And how much seafood would you say is shipping daily? I mean, if you had to ballpark.
That's tough to say. I mean, depending on the season, depending on the holiday. But between both fresh and frozen, it's approximately 20 to 30,000 pounds a day.
Wow. And I don't know about you, but every time I'm driving on 95 or even the city streets, I'm always seeing a Samuels & Son truck. So you guys are everywhere.
Well, we like to keep the fish fresh, and we're based around quality and service, so our trucks are always running.
Right. And you said you're able to stay ahead of the game because of your variety and your quality and your service.
Well, we like to accommodate our chefs, and of course, they're the driving force of our business, what they need, what their demands are. Whatever unique seafood they're looking for, we try to accommodate and access it and procure it from around the world. We have approximately 12 buyers full-time, each buying their own specialty, particular group of fish. But that's what we do. You know, that's what we're here for, is to make sure we have the fish, not only to find it, but have it available for the chef when they need it.
Right. And how are you able to source quality and affordable and fresh seafood?
All good questions. It's always a challenge, especially in this day and age where prices continue to seem to rise. Seafood in particular, because it's a worldwide commodity, not just in the U.S. So the recent developments of the economic improvement in China and Russia play a great part in the pricing of seafood, because it's a commodity and it's a supply and demand. So as those worldwide markets develop, of course, demand increases, which pushes the prices up, and that's our daily challenge. So we try to compete with that, and it's ongoing, especially with fresh, because fresh fish never stops. You know, we try not to keep it in the plant any more than 1 or 2 days, to keep it moving, keep it fresh. So it's an ongoing battle.
And you keep it fresh inside the plant. What am I expecting to see when I walk inside the plant? You said that the entire plant is refrigerated? Or?
Mm-hmm. Well, the cold chain is very important, especially when you're dealing with, you think about, I'm sure a lot of your listeners go out and they enjoy sushi, and they get tuna at the sushi bar. Piece of tuna loin can go from $15 to $20 a pound. So a 10-pound loin, you're looking at $200. And not only is it important to keep it fresh for our customers just because of the value of it, there's also a food safety aspect. So the temperature chain is very, very important. So our plant is completely refrigerated. We make sure that all the product that comes into the plant, even before it gets here, has been refrigerated because we have the temperature charts, we have the temperature logs to show that it's been kept appropriately, and then our plant is refrigerated at 35 degrees all the way through. So when it's in our plant, we know what's going on with the temperature, and that product will be safe. And then all our trucks are maintained so that we have 35 degrees until it gets to the customer's back door. So it's all very important.
And you know what's going on with the seafood from fisherman to plant, every hand that it touches, correct?
Right. Because we've been in business so long, we have some really great relationships with producers, not only locally, but around the world. We do a great deal of business with the fisheries out of Cape May and Barnegat Light, New Jersey. But we're also dealing with people in New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, anywhere around the world where there's healthy and viable fisheries.
Okay. And how is someone like me, a mere pedestrian, going to be able to access your seafood?
Well, I don't want to be bold, but probably if you've eaten at a restaurant in Philadelphia, you've had our seafood. Right. We're very proud of that, and we think we do a great job with our customers, and we're very proud of that. But if you would like to purchase it yourself, you can always come down to Samuel's, but you will have to buy in a little bit larger quantities because it is a wholesale situation. But we also have a retail store at 13th and Dickinson, Ippolito Seafood, and they have a full case of all the products that we offer at Samuel's.
And Ippolito's is a happening scene if you've ever been down there in South Philly.
Ippolito's is a lot of fun. It's not your father's fish store anymore.
No, it's not. No. And it's entertaining and fun. So get down to Ippolito's if you want to try some of this impeccable seafood. And we talked a little bit over lunch. What do you think the most popular species is right now? What's trendy?
Your old favorites are always in play. People like the Chilean sea bass, the Mid-Atlantic U10 scallops, diver-caught scallops are always popular. Our highest volume fish is, of course, farm-raised Atlantic salmon. That's and it's always been an important fish for us because that's the one fish that sort of transcends every menu and every customer, whether you're a diner or a supermarket or the Four Seasons Hotel. Everybody's got salmon on the menu. So it's always been important to us to make sure that we always did the salmon right, and it comes from the freshest and the highest quality aquaculture facilities. Because if you can't do the salmon right, you can't do any of these other things right. So it's always been very important. Okay.
And the salmon that's swimming in the ocean right now, what steps is it taking to get to my dinner plate?
Well, Atlantic salmon, of course, is aquacultured. So we have about 9 different aquaculture facilities around the world that we deal with. Our highest volume comes out of eastern Canada. So it's Nova Scotia and all the way up into Newfoundland. So that product actually comes from the water to our unloading docks in South Philadelphia. It makes the trip in 48 hours. Wow. So it's really, it's basically still kicking.
And you mentioned that a chef calls you at 11 o'clock and they need an order for tomorrow, and you're able to do that. Mm-hmm.
Obviously transportation is very important, but we pride ourselves on quality and service. A chef in Manhattan or Philadelphia or D.C., no matter where, we'll get done with his dinner service at 11 o'clock at night. We'll then pick up the phone, place his order, and he'll be getting his next order by 6 a.m. the next morning.
Wow. And that happens often, you said.
It happens every day. That's pretty much the rule rather than the exception.
Wow. And you are able to do that. You also mentioned Acme and Weiss and Redner's. That's another way for the consumer to access your seafood.
All right. We're pretty diversified. A lot of different companies appreciate our fish, and the Acme supermarkets, Weiss markets, and Redner's are some of the larger ones that buy our product. We also service some smaller places, Weaver's Way up in Chestnut Hill, Bywood Seafood over on the main line. These have been very good customers, and also people who are very concerned about the quality of their fish.
And you are also able to cater to those who keep kosher, correct?
We have a kosher cutting room, and Rabbi Dave comes in twice a week to oversee, as good Mashkia will do, oversee the cutting of the fish to make sure that we abide by all the kosher laws.
That is customer service, if I ever heard about it. I want to talk about your experience in marine biology. What came first, the marine biology or Samuels and Son?
Well, I have been doing this for a little while, so it's been a while, but the marine biology came first. I always had an interest in the sea and fish, and I always spent my summers down in Ocean City, New Jersey. I was a boat captain, so I spent a lot of time around fish, but I thought at the time I was going to be the next Jacques Cousteau, and I was going to save the world. Unfortunately, that didn't fall through, so I needed to make a living. So I actually started, my first job in seafood was this is back in the Reagan administration, obviously, way before your time, but I was buying tuna, and we were exporting them to Japan. And we would do that on Long Island and also down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow. So you're a fisherman by heart.
I think I'm a fish by heart, actually.
In a past life, maybe?
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't want to run into me, though. So, no, I've always had a respect for the products that we sell. We were kind of sustainable. My philosophy was sustainable before that was a buzzword or cool. And I never used the word sustainable, but I always thought that we were responsible in how we purchased seafood.
Right. And then that comes from your education in marine biology.
Right. And it also came in from the common sense that I needed to do this with 3 kids in college. You can do the math there. But no, we try to always look and make sure that the products that we bought were coming from responsible fisheries, to make sure that, that everything was bought, within accordance to the law, of course. Make sure that the health and food safety issues were always in play when we purchased product. And by doing this over the years, we really gained a lot of respect in the industry, and this is part of our success.
Right. So it's important to you to respect seafood from ocean to table.
Right. It is, I used to always say we were the last of the buffalo hunters because we're the only industry that actually still depends on wild product. Any other industry or protein or produce, it's all farm raised. We're the only industry that still has to go out and find and catch.
Right. And we're going to talk a little more about sustainability and the farm versus wild debate when we come back.
We're a Philadelphia advertising agency, American Advertising Services, and our job is to create solutions for your business problems. Do you want more customers, more sales for your products or business services? American Advertising has helped many, many area companies, large ones, small ones, family-owned firms just like yours. If you are in business and serious, make American Advertising your advertising agency. Per job assignments welcomed. American Advertising Services. We are serious about helping your business.
American Advertising Services is located at 29 Bala Avenue, Bala Cynwyd, PA 19004. 29 Bala Avenue, Bala Cynwyd, PA 19004. You can call them at 484-562-0060, 484-562-0060, 484-562-0060.
Wow, this is really different. There's a Philadelphia business called Whims for Rent, that creates and does really unusual business special events and promotions. If you're involved in a trade show, business meeting, sales campaign, grand opening, or open house, call Whims for Rent. If you're having a company dinner, a charity gala, or fundraiser and need a theme, call Whims. Whims has stars and stunts, gadgets and gimmicks from hundreds of available sources, entertainers and celebrities. Add flair to your business needs. Whims for Rent, the Philadelphia special events company for business and groups. At Whims, imagination works overtime. Challenge us. Call Whims for Rent.
For more information, contact Whims for Rent at 29 Bala Avenue, Bala Cynwyd, PA 19004, 29 Bala Avenue, Bala Cynwyd, PA 19004, or call Whims for Rent at 484-562-0067, 484-562-0067 for Whims for Rent.
The internet today is a must for businesses and organizations to represent themselves. A must. For the generations of business owners who did not have the advantage of an internet education beginning in grade school, there is basic help. Call American Advertising Services at 484-562-0060. Our organization of marketing personnel, traditional and IT, will set up basic internet advertising aids for your business or organization at a modest fee. Basics. No big deals, no big costs, just basics. Plus a free Get to Know Your Goals meeting. Call American Advertising Services at 484-562-0060. That's 484-562-0060. Be with it, or else you will be out of it. Again, call American Advertising Services at 484-562-0060.
Need a speaker for your business meeting, organization, social group? Need a speaker who is entertaining, informative, or both? Need a speaker who is an authority on a subject close to your interests? We provide them. We are this region's Speakers Bureau. Call us at 484-562-0067. 484-562-0067.
I'm Audra Neff, and you're listening to Food Talk, brought to you by American Advertising Services, the Philadelphia area advertising and publicity agency that wants to help you. Call 484-562-0060. That's 484-562-0060. And again, that's 484-562-0060. Okay, the show's called Food Talk, but today it's more like fish talk, because our guest is Joe Lasprogata, Vice President of Samuels & Son Seafood and marine biologist. I have to throw that in there. Thanks again, Joe.
You're welcome, Audra.
Okay, so before we went to break, we were talking about sustainability, and oceans are kind of important, right? They do make up most of our planet, and most people aren't chowing down on their salmon and thinking, I wonder how this fish went from swimming to my plate. So how is Samuels & Son able to maintain sustainability?
That's a good question. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the toughest thing is to define sustainability. Nowadays, there's just so many different organizations out there that it's kind of confusing. It's confusing the people in the industry, let alone lay people and the average diner. What do you eat? What's good to eat? What shouldn't you eat? Well, this group says you shouldn't eat this fish, but this other group says it's okay to eat this fish. It's very confusing, and what we try to do at Samuels, and part of my job there, is to help explain it to people and educate. The first thing to understand is when people are talking about sustainability, people may not realize we're not talking about the fish itself. We're actually talking about the fishery, where the product comes from. So you might have a tuna from one region that may be harvested in a way that's impacting not only the fish, and they're taking the juvenile fish, but also impacting the indigenous species, where that same product from another region may be fished in a sustainable way, where it's line caught and it's not impacting any of the other sea creatures, and even how it's handled on land, the economics of it. If the production facility itself, what the economics are they do they employ child labor or anything like that? So it's all about the whole package. It's not just about the fish itself. And that's the one thing we try to clarify. Right.
And what do fisheries need to avoid?
Well, if you take, there's different organizations that certify these different fisheries. And the one thing to keep in mind with any reliable or any of these organizations that you should pay attention to is that they should set up their own standards, but the standards are enforced by a third party, and that's what makes them legitimate. So that's why we follow the Marine Stewardship Council, because they set the standards, but they're not enforcing them. They have another organization that enforces them. That way, there's a legit organization.
Right. So this is regulated.
They're all private,
right? But
it is monitored. I don't know if we're going to call it regulated. I mean, the National Marine Fisheries Service, actually, part of NOAA, actually does a really nice job for the United States as far as regulating and keep an eye on the domestic fisheries, and we also listen to them as well.
Okay, and let's talk about the farmed versus wild seafood debate, and let us know the misconceptions having to do with that.
Yeah, it's always fun. I was at a dinner party not too long ago, and I sat down next to a woman, and then she said, "Oh, I love salmon, but I never eat farm-raised fish." And then I asked her the question. I said, "Well, why don't you eat farm-raised fish?" And then she really didn't have an answer. The usual answer I get is, "Well, they say it's full of antibiotics or so and so." I said, "Oh, really?" And I didn't really fight her on it that too much. And I said, "Well." She said she only eats wild fish. I said, "Well, what other products do you eat that are not farm raised?" And she just thought about it for a while. "Oh, I never really thought of it that way. I mean, there's not too much wild chickens running around that's being harvested, or wild beef or anything, or wild corn. I mean, everything else you eat is farm raised." So the biggest thing I try to tell people when we get into this is use the internet. Find out the truth about this stuff. When it comes down to it, especially with salmon, farm-raised Atlantic salmon is probably the highest quality, best tasting, safest protein available in the market today, and inexpensive. So, I mean, people really have to learn about, and I really encourage people to learn about what they're eating. Not just fish, but anything.
Right. And so how did that myth begin?
Actually, long story short, that was started by the wild salmon guys.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, everything comes back to money. So,
Right.
You really got to take things with a grain of salt.
Right.
But, if anybody takes away from our conversation today is that farm-raised fish is the future of the seafood industry. Right now, people don't realize that 50% of the products that we sell at Samuel's are aquacultured, and they're all high quality. They stabilize the price of the market. We're not impacting the wild stocks at all. Were there problems with a lot of these farms 20 and 30 years ago when they first started? Yeah, but that's true with any industry. But now they're pretty regulated, and they monitor themselves because they've found with good husbandry practices, they have a healthier product, they have less loss because their product's not dying, and they're they're more profitable when they run cleaner, and that's what's happening now.
Right.
They even have one more point. They even have cameras on the bottom of the nets that monitor the feed. So as the feed drops through the water column, if it breaks the camera, it'll automatically shut off the feed.
Wow.
So they don't overfeed the fish, and they're not feed is expensive. That's the number one cost of these farms. So they don't, they want to be run profitably. So
right. So if you didn't know, now you know. Okay.
Yeah, the technology is really cool. Actually, they've come a long way.
Right. All right, well, before we wrap up, I want to talk about all the great things Samuels & Son is doing in the community for local chefs and for students. You guys do class trips for culinary schools, biology classes.
Mm-hmm. We really try to, again, we're pretty passionate about seafood at every level. And education is a major part of what we do there because that's how people learn about it, respect the fish, and, will help these products and these fisheries survive from generations to come. We hope forever. Recently, Mark Vettry's doing a culinary class with Drexel University. He brought a group down and took a tour of the plant, and we worked with the product in our test kitchen right there at Samuel's.
Wow. And I find this so interesting. You use your test kitchen to educate chefs on different types of seafood.
Mm-hmm. That's an important part because it's... I always liken it to, we have this giant facility filled with different fish, and a lot of these fish, a lot of chefs have never seen. It's sort of like going to Sears Hardware and walking in, and there's a million different wrenches and tools and hammers, but a lot of the stuff you don't know how to use. So if you don't go somewhere to have somebody teach you about it and allow you to work with it, you really can't take advantage of all the different fish. So that's what we try to do there. We invite the chefs down. They'll go through our warehouse. They'll see how we take care of the product, how we cut the product, and we allow them to take it right out of our cutting rooms and go right into the kitchen and start cooking it with our Chef Davis. So,
Okay, so tell me more about Chef Davis.
Chef Davis is our corporate chef. He's been with us about 3 years now, and he has a great deal of experience with seafood. He worked in Florida, and he's also worked locally, and now he gets to work with me. So. I don't know if that's good or bad for him, but he's very talented. But he cooks the different fish about in many different ways as you can cook it. So that's another great resource of knowledge that our chefs can come in and our customers, and they can discuss with him, and they learn how to cook the fish together, and they set the menu. So
wow. So Samuels and Son is to a chef what a shoe store might be to me. They can come in and then they can try out the different fish.
Well, I don't know if anybody can keep up with that, but yeah, we want people to learn and enjoy it, because if they're not comfortable with the product, they're going to be afraid to serve it, and nobody's going to grow and develop, and then ultimately the customer is not going to be able to try these different fish. So, and that's what we want to do. So
tell us about your chef series that you also do in your test kitchen.
Our chef series, it's hosted by Chef Davis, and we'll invite a local chef or one of our customer chefs in to work with new products. That's my part of the job, to resource a new product, and we'll introduce it to our other customers via a more casual atmosphere.
Okay. And so they're just cooking one recipe, or it's more about the preparation of the specific type of fish?
Depending on what the fish lends itself to, it'll generally be 2 or 3 different recipes. We try to give a variety, being that we have such a wide variety of customers. We try just to give a range, give some ideas. And we introduce the product to her that way.
Okay, and you also mentioned that you work closely with the FDA.
Yes, especially when we were setting up the new facility, we invited not only the Pennsylvania FDA, but the USDC and the national body of the FDA to come in, see what they wanted to see as far as our facility for food safety. In our cutting room, we actually use ozoniated water, which is a natural oxidizing agent that long story short, it breaks down proteins, right, and then it reverts back to just water and oxygen. So it's very safe and very clean. But between the 35 degrees all the way through the plant, the ozone water, our customers report that they're getting a 2 to 4 day extended shelf life of the products, and it's safer, and that's a real value.
Right. So you're in the fight to also stop mislabeling of seafood.
Right. We worked with the Pennsylvania FDA closely with their DNA library to prevent any type of economic fraud, to make sure that restaurants are serving what they say they're serving.
Right. In my sushi, I don't want to be eating, I don't know, say...
Well, you just want to make sure that when you're getting that, $30, $40 entree at Chilean sea bass, you just want to make sure that's Chilean sea bass.
That's what you're getting, yes, absolutely. Okay, well, I think we learned a lot in 30 minutes. What do you think?
Well, I enjoyed the conversation. Right. I hope your listeners did as well.
Yeah, you're very, very knowledgeable, and I want to thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
To learn more, because your website is a plethora of information as well, visit samuelsandsonseafood.com. Is there any other way they can get a hold of you?
My email is on the website. You can certainly email me directly if you want to come down. We don't, because of some regulations, we don't let everybody through the plant, but they can always call me if they have a question. I'd be happy to answer any seafood questions that they may have.
Thank you, Joe. Very accommodating. All right. We will see you next week. This has been Audra Neff with Food Talk.